Thank you for watching again. Every week we talk about stock markets or the economy, and we try to talk about sectors because we believe in investing to sectors. And of course, you want to invest in a sector that's expected to grow very fast. Now, today we're going to talk about the sub sector, and we think that that sector is going to grow. And we discuss two interesting shares, and I'm sure you never heard of those shares.
No. And we know for sure that clients of us never bought them.
And I think nowadays, because of the inflation, a lot of things are becoming more expensive. But there are also things like Nike shoes. If you compare it to 20 or 30 years, I think they are still the same price or maybe a little bit cheaper. So it's not everything is getting more expensive. Also, oil price. I've said the oil price high, but we had an oil price that was double the price.
Double the price, yeah.
And then you don't take in consideration inflation.
No.
So not everything is becoming expensive. But I think one of the things that in life, for sure, you know that there will always increase in costs are parking spots.
Yeah. At least as long as we all keep driving and buying cars, that is.
And using them, yeah. And if you look at the main cities in the world, I think the prices for parking per hour is really expensive. Most cases you can it's cheaper to drive your car around for an hour. Yeah. It's cheaper than park your car for an hour.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
If you want to hedge yourself against those increasing costs, or you believe in this sector, and what we show from those two shares is that these are amazing shares from a growth perspective, because they already showed years of growth, and it's expected that they will continue showing growth. And I think as investors, we all are, you are an investor, we like companies that are steadily growing, because
Absolutely.
Nowadays you have a lot of companies that are really volatile. It's also nice to have, but you also are always looking in your portfolio for some investments that show steady growth.
Yeah. Absolutely, and the first company that I want to highlight in this case is a company from Australia. It's called Smart Parking. Smart Parking is not just a company that is only locally active in Australia, that's actually active all over the world. They have big sites in the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, also Germany. And the company is doing a couple of things. They do parking management, so they do technology, and they do research and development. And the main part in which they got their fame was because of the fact they have an automatic number plate recognition system. And you say, okay, that's not so very exciting, because the whole research and development department includes that service. If once you know how to do it, you might be able to do it. But they incorporate that into many other systems. So automatic invoicing, automatic opening the gates, etc., etc. That technology, if you know parking places that work there, is very likely that it comes from Smart Parking. The stock you can buy on the Australian stock exchange.
Because nowadays, if you have a parking place, you have a lot of parking places don't have any people walking around.
No, just
maximum one or maybe two.
Yeah,
so it's an industry with a really low labor costs.
Low labor costs.
Low overhead.
Yeah. And once the software is working correctly and everything works good, you have the machine where you pay, you pick your card, you pay. So basically, you don't need, if everything functions, you don't need anybody. Stock is able to buy. You can buy it on the market of Australia at 48 Australian dollar cents. At the end of the session, I will explain a little bit about the currency, also with the company that Casper is going to talk about. The consensus in the market is a little bit different. It's higher. It's at 55 cents if you follow tip ranks, and if you look at Morningstar, they give an estimate of 70 cents. They're very proud of their figures of last year. They're growing, and that's something that you like, of course, as an investor. The revenue was up almost 20% to 26.6 million. The EBITDA was up 44%. Total sites that they were managing was gone up 24% to 1,219 parking sites. They have quite a lot of cash, 10 million euros of cash. It's not a huge company, it's about 150 million, so they have quite a lot of cash. And they're working on another 1,500 sites to be developed, so they are not sitting still. So they're going to almost double what they have at the moment. The CEO is also very happy about how things are going. He said, we're following a very disciplined growth strategy, and it's paying off. Looking at the growth figures, the compound annual growth rate, 31% since 2018 annual growth. That's also something that
repeat that.
31% growth. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have a business since 2018.
That's amazing.
Your your sites are going up, your results are going up at 31% on an annual basis. That is something that I think every owner of a company really likes, no? So all in all, funny company. Yeah, we thought about this topic, and we both came up with some interesting companies. Funny enough, they're both listed, and it was very difficult to find a stock in the US. They possibly also have them, but we took two stocks from the East, Australia, and you're going to take us to Japan.
Yeah, because most of those companies are not public traded, are also smaller companies, really region based.
Regionally based, yeah.
And the biggest parking lot, by the way, is also in Canada with 30,000 parking spots, and it's in Edmonton. 30,000 in the world. 95%, and also in the US, there are 660 million parking spots. And probably with 300 million people, there are more than 600. I think that there are around 660 million cars. Probably,
yeah.
In the US. I'm going to talk about a company from Japan. And it's an old company. It was founded in 1971. They have 5,000 employees, 80 offices. They're mainly focusing in the Asian area. They're from Japan, and they reinvented the parking spot problem, because like in cities like Tokyo, the public transport is quite good, but there is also a huge demand for parking spots. And it's crowded cities. And before they reinvented it, and you can also look on the internet, there are a lot of theses about it, because they did quite something against the market. Normally, in those cities, you see big parking spots with a lot of levels under the ground or above the ground. But they said, okay, now what we want to do, we are looking for small parking spots close to places where people like to go. So grocery shops, restaurants, and our malls, of course, have themselves, pharmacies, and also automatically, because they have 3 business units: Japan, national, international, and also digital solutions. And with those digital solutions, you have all kind of small parking places that completely are digital, close to where the people want to go for a short-term stay. So they reinvented the problem. They have around 1.3 million parking spots, and they're active in 7 countries. And if you look at the figures, they're quite amazing. What we said in the beginning, this is a growth sector based on the price per square meter, but also they increase their square meters. So they're doing quite, from a conservative approach, they're doing quite some, they show some steady growth. If you look at the last 4 years of this company, and I repeat the share, Park24
.co.limited.
From Japan, 1,600 Japanese yen is the price. And if you look at the assets are quite the same over the last 4 years. The debt, they had some debt. It's going down from 228 billion to 138 billion this year.
So nothing wrong with that.
Okay. But if you look at the revenues, 251 billion, 290, 330, 360. So that's amazing. That's really good figures. Also, if you look at the earnings per share, it's going up from a loss in 2021, up. So far, so good. What are the targets? If you look, there are within our system 6 analysts, and they give a price target. The price target is always a year further. So again, $1,600 Japanese yen now is the price, and it's estimated 2,700. So that is an increasement, like 80% up. So a lot of hope in it. Is that based on air or based on figures? No, it's based on the estimations. If you look at the earnings per share, it's expected 120 Japanese yen per share for this year, and it will go up next year, 138, 165, 175, 156, 175, and 190 in 2008. So fantastic figures. Cash flow is also really positive, and the net debt will even go lower. So then you think, how about the chart? That must be like like a lot of other companies, sky high record. No, it is not. In 2020, the beginning, it was trading at 2,750, remind 1,600 now. And so you see in the chart, they're not trading at the lowest point, but they are really trading at the low point in the last 4 years. So there is music in this company. And if you believe that people still gonna use the car and want to park, I think that everybody agrees the prices will go up, so you can do it from an investment perspective because it's an interesting subsector. You have to do your homework, of course, yourself, but you can also use it as a hedge because you think my prices will go up for my parking, so I hedge it with an investment in parking.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about hedging, if you look at the currency, so if you look at, that's another point, but I think it's interesting about Park24 is that it's listed in Japanese yen. And the Japanese yen at the moment, if you follow the currency market, it's at its weakest point ever. Even if you, it's actually quite scary because it looks exactly the same as when we went to 2008. It was at this point as well, and then the Japanese yen was considered as a safe haven. It went from 170 where we are now, all the way back down to 100. At this moment, we're again at 170. So God knows what might happen, but so if indeed the Japanese yen will become stronger and the price of Park24 goes up, that's very positive, of course, for your investment. Looking at the Australian dollar, at the moment it's trading at $1.60, and it's been at that level for almost, I think, almost 10 years. So in that currency, there's not a lot happening. Give us your thumb. Thank you for watching as always.
Yeah, and those companies are.
You don't finish yet.
No, but they are in Canadian and in Japan.
Yeah.
And a lot of brokers, if you are with a broker or a bank, it's probably not possible to invest in those companies. But through us, we only talk about investment that you really can invest in. And we have you can trade with us, invest with us within 60,000 different shares. And this you can directly with us trade on the Japanese stock market and the Canadian stock market. I wanted to say that's important.
No, it's important. Yeah. You have to wake up early because the market is opening really late or really early in the morning.
Yeah,
but
you
can place a limit. But thank you for watching once again. And,
subscribe and give us your thumb. See you next week.